Well, guys, we don't often get good news out of Australia these days, but there have been little bits of it. We had the old dragon step down after an anti-corruption probe found out she was as bent as the Soviet sickle, which is obviously good news for the people there. As many know, she was a complete lunatic, literally drunk on power, like many state premiers over there. In fact, is there actually any that ain't at this point? I really don't know. I certainly haven't seen any stand up for common sense. Now mostly we just get bad news coming out of Australia, like protesters being attacked by the Australian stormtroopers because you ain't police officers when you're shooting rubber bullets and tear gas at peaceful protesters. And obviously we ain't talking about Black Lives Matter and the media's idea of their mostly peaceful protests that are often actually full-blown riots, as you know. The Aussie protests, like the ones here and elsewhere, have always been peaceful until the police charged in, literally attacking people. But in Australia it's gone even further, with helicopters circling beaches, literally telling people to go home. And as many of you know, cops slamming people to the ground for not wearing their mask in the correct way outside or in. It's obviously complete fucking lunacy, and many of us looking on in wondered when the police would actually start to say no, or if indeed they ever would. I mean, it never should have been happening really, since this is something that the police shouldn't be doing, and surely these cops know that they're on the wrong side here, even if they're not speaking out and just going along with it. But one of them at least can see that this is not what she signed up for and has literally quit, while calling out the powers that be in Australia for the lunacy that they're taking part in. She even states many police officers there do not want to be doing this to the people, which I actually expect is true, but they're doing it so clearly, still are trying to find their morals, it would seem. At the end of the day, I'm sorry, but there is no way I could square it in my mind that attacking people who have done nothing wrong is a good thing or in any way protecting their health. And I literally say that as a civilian that generally doesn't give a flying fuck about most things. Doing it as a copper, knowing what they are meant to be there for, is just obviously insane. Clearly though, this acting senior sergeant, Crystal Mitchell, has had enough and said, you know what, I ain't doing this anymore, which I obviously respect because it's not easy to stick your head out in 2021. And actually, this is something we can see here already by the fact that she's now being investigated by the police for speaking out. It's literally a dystopian nightmare on par with Orwell's 1984. Now, in what might shock some of you because it did me, the police officer here actually works or worked in the Diversity and Inclusion Department. But on top of that, had spent 6 years working anti-corruption and more time on frontline duty, so must remember actually dealing with the public at least. And I guess being anti-corruption means you at least feel the police should act in a manner expected of them, not like the fucking Stasi as we've seen. In fact, she literally talks about senior old Bill apparently hyping up the lower ranked officers, telling them any and all force will be deemed okay by the top ranks. This, it seems, is a lie on the part of all those top-ranked old Bill, though, as she points out in the interview herself. Which, like I said, is likely going to be true, as she worked in anti-corruption and police standards, so knows for a fact that that defence ain't gonna stand up if people report them for excessive force. Now, obviously, I actually hope that all these people body slammed by the police for the good of their health report the coppers involved and get some form of justice for it. We have all seen the videos of them and their disgusting actions at this point. They certainly should be held to account for this. Now though guys, if you want to watch the actual interview itself that I've been discussing here, which is about an hour and a half long, it will be linked down below. I've watched the entire thing and I can say it's certainly worth a watch, not only for Aussies but for everyone else, because this shit will likely end up here.